Oh yeah, welcome to How Can She Snap? It's the Marvel Snap podcast for the filthy casual. I'm the no big deal. I'm here with one of the best Marvel Snap Twitter follows, captain of the Filthy Casuals Alliance, one of our captains. It's Jason Kelly, J-Base Kelly. How you doing, buddy?
Real good, no big deal. Great to be here with you. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm fired up. You came, it's late night in the UK. You come from across the Atlantic on the pod. I appreciate it, man. How are things? Does it rain a lot now? How's the September life in the UK?
Yeah, it's been really cold this week. Everyone's got snotty noses and colds, and everyone's getting ill because of a sudden change in temperature. Then it's meant to be hot again next week. You just don't really know what you're going to get in September here. But
Yeah,
yeah,
we're
it's
similar. We're like
little.
it's like ridiculously hot now. So yeah, but then last week was a little chilly. So yeah, I guess it's just okay. We're all just at the mercy of the gods out there, of the weather gods. So this week we got a pretty good pod. mdmWeB just came out. I mean, absolutely insane card. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna break it down, and then we're gonna talk about some OTAs, spicy OTA change. We got the usual leak, the accurate OTA leak into the OTAs that were on the leak. So that's always good. These leaks we got some quality leaks in the Marvel Snap community. I'm not mad about that. And then we're gonna get into a little monetization talk because Jason Kelly is straight up free to play. So no season pass, none of this bullshit. We're not wasting money on variants probably. So he's just straight up free to play. So that'll be pretty cool. Kind of pick his brain, see where his collection's at, how he feels playing the game, if it's playable, can be competitive. We'll have a little chat about that at the end, and that's about it. So let's get it. Beep beep boop 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 beep beep boop beep boop. The kid. All right, Jay Kells. How was your week in Marvel Snap? Did you have a fun week? Are you pissed off playing against the move decks? Because I know you didn't pick up the mdmWeB. As we said, you're free to play, so you have to actually, put a lot of thought into these decisions of 6K spotlight keys. I know you picked up Sable. So how have you been doing in this week?
Yeah, I've had a good week actually. Reaching Infinite on Monday maybe, so within the first week, so pretty solid performance there. Yeah, I picked up Sable because that the spotlights for that week had two cards I didn't have, Silver Sable and US Agent. So I've been messing around with them, put together a nice deck that got me to Infinite, and I'm still climbing the Infinite ladder at the moment. So yeah, I've had a pretty good week. We're doing pretty well in the Filthy Casuals Alliance as well. A lot of people are grinding.
Yeah, the boys are rallying this last week. People have been playing. While the kid goes on vacation, everybody else grinds. It looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's good vibes in the alliance right now. Good vibes.
For sure, man. Yeah, everyone's cooking up like wild decks. Let's talk about that deck that you've been playing. Actually, let's start there. So we got J-Base Affliction deck. So first I want to ask though, if you're running into some mdmWeB, Human Torch, Tribunal. I mean, I'm sure you're seeing this BS out there, right? Like Vulture, Dagger. Do you feel like it's causing you problems? Because this is a main deck that you've been playing. Is it causing you problems? Do you think it's a little crazy, or do you think it's no problem? You got some clog, you're kind of good to go.
Yeah, so I played it against mdmWeB a little bit. Wouldn't say it's causing me too many problems. Sometimes I get beat, sometimes I don't. I think mdmWeB's one of those cards where if you kind of hit the combo and you're getting yourself like a 50 billion power Human Torch or a 25 power Dagger, then you're going to be in a good spot. But if you're not going to hit that, then there doesn't seem to be huge amounts else that you can do. In a deck like this will kind of wreck it. Like Man Thing 415 Man Thing, is going to put in some work for you. So yeah, and you can clog with the Goblins and the White Widow, and Red Guardian can take out a Dagger or a Human Torch or mdmWeB. So this does okay against that sort of deck. But if they get the nut, then what are you gonna do?
I like that the way you framed it because I've played so many mdmWeB games since she came out, and I pretty much I have the same opinion where it's like, yeah, I mean, it is fantastic when you get the combo, but it's definitely not consistent. Like the stars don't always align. I thought it would be a little more consistent. I think the Aranya card will make it more assistant when she comes out because then it's another move piece. It's activate, so you can play it whenever. It's going to move to the right +2. That's insane on Human Torch specifically. Giving him a +2 is ridiculous. So I do think they get maybe a little scarier when that card comes out. But I feel like it's a pretty good deck right now. But let's talk about this deck, Jason. I'll read it out for the audio listeners. We got Nebula, Silver Sable, Selene, White Widow, the Jiff, U.S. Agent, Green Goblin. I got the cosmic yellow for my Green Goblin. I'm a fan of the split personally, so I did a little bit of wasted money on that variant. I think I've bought 2 borders so far. This one and one other one I bought. Oh, Mysterio. I bought the green one on Mysterio. It looks great. And then Luke Cage, Red Guardian, Gwenpool, Man-Thing, Sarah. So what are you looking to do? How do you start the game off, and how are you looking to finish the game off with a deck like this, Jay Kells?
So yeah, the kind of overall game plan with this deck was, kind of afflict them, as much as possible with like Man-Thing, US Agent, add a bit of Clog with a White Widow and Green Goblin, and just kind of afflict their hand, afflict their deck, Silver Sable, Selene, we'll do blast and stuff in their hand, blast and stuff in the deck. Then Red Guardian for a bit of tech. Gwenpool, just, kind of, I picked up Gwenpool a couple of weeks ago and I hadn't really used her, so I thought, just throw her in a deck, see what happens. And, she can really pop off in this deck, people don't expect a 5/10 Sarah on turn 5. People don't expect that. I had one game where that came out and the guy was emoting like crazy. What just happened? What just happened? Kind of open back face. And yeah. So
powerhouse. That's too much, Sarah.
Yeah, just I wouldn't say the deck's short on power, but sometimes Gwenpool just gives it that little boost. So yeah, that's the main aim. Afflict the hand, afflict the deck, and afflict the board. And Nebula has a bit of pressure. Jeff, you can get into other locations. White Widow, Green Goblin for Clark, and then Sarah just so you can play more cards on the last turn, really.
I like that's an interesting point on Gwenpool. I played a lot of Gwenpool leading up to SnapCon, and I find she's just really good in any deck that's low curve. Low curve, she's a really good card. So I mean, you have 3 1s here, 3 2s, so plenty of procs here. Anything that you could actually get it out. Obviously, you got to get rid of this card if you're going to play Gwenpool. Yeah. You got to play the Green Goblin on 3. But then your Gwenpool is just crushing. I think she's a sweet value. I mean, this is 4/12, right? Spread out across multiple cards, and we just don't have that at the 4 cost. Even we were going over it last week because we were talking a lot of Atuma. All the 4/10s have downsides. So if you could just play a 4/12 Gwenpool, I mean, that's awesome, And you're totally, I mean, Red Guardian's a beast right now. Like you said, I mean, you went through it, mdmWeB, Dagger. I mean, these are low power cards, but there's a lot of cards like this. And, Nebula, which is in this deck, Sunspot. I mean, God, Red Guardian's a monster. Like, it's I think an underrated card right now. So that's pretty sweet, man. So you're kind of, you're locking down lanes. You got, can't play big cards here, can't play small cards here. This guy protects the neighborhood, so you could just play whatever the hell you want. I definitely played a good amount of Luke Cage, Man-Thing, US Agent. I'm a big fan of this combo as well, so I love this, man. This is a sweet deck. How often do you play Selene if you don't have a Green Goblin in hand?
Yeah, with Selene, you either need Green Goblin in hand, or you need to hope you've got, or you need to have, or you're going to draw into Luke Cage, or you're just giving yourself a bit of a brick in your hand. But even so, she still takes -3 off something, and that's going to hurt your opponent regardless. But yeah, there's a bit of a lottery there. If you don't see the Goblin or you don't see Luke Cage, you kind of screwed yourself somehow. But
that's good though. Like you said, you have 2 outs. I mean, any game of Marvel Snap, you draw all but 3 cards, so odds are you're gonna see one of these 2 anyway. So most of 80+% of the time, you're good. Okay, well that's a pretty sweet deck. So a little bit of spice for the people. I mean, maybe you thought you were going to see some War Machine, mdmWeB only this week, but Jason Kelly coming with the spice, man. I love it. A little bit of affliction. I've only played this kind of deck with Spectrum, so this is pretty cool. I've never played it kind of part Clog, Sarah. I've just played just straight up, Spectrum, Jean Grey, you have to play here, and then I spectrum. So this is awesome. And Silver Sable, this card's insane. Like this card's really good. So even in like Cerebro 3, I've been playing it. It's really good. So that's a sweet deck. Let's talk a little bit of mdmWeB. It's Sydney Sweeney. She came to Marvel Snap. It's mdmWeB. I mean, this card has been pre-nerfed 3 times, Jason Kelly. 3 times before she even got to the game. First they take out the Beast. Well, no, first we had a data mine. She was a 2/3. And they knocked her down 2 power. So, she's like basically 1/3 the power she used to be. Now a 2/1. Okay, then they nerfed the Beast. So Beast used to be 2 cost card. And now you got to pay 3 for Beast. So any kind of bounce move, shenanigans you were pulling, you want to bounce your Torch, your Ghost Spider, even your Dagger, replay Dagger, all these cards. You now got to pay 3 for Beast. And then the last one, and which also might be a little bit of a shot at Symbiote Spider-Man too, was the Taskmaster. So you very easily can do Task Torch on the last turn, the old Taskmaster, 5/0 Taskmaster. But now, Taskmaster costs 6. It's super awkward at 6. And also, you could do stuff like, Ghost Spider, Taskmaster, like stuff like this. You could combine Task with any one drop at the end, and obviously the you could Beast bounce your Dagger. For example, on 5, Dagger now costs 1. And you could go Dagger Task, so if you have some, 38 power Dagger, that's basically Shuri Red Skull, but like almost better. It's probably better than Shuri Red Skull, honestly. And you're passing Prio because you're bouncing your cards. So they nuked all this stuff out of the game. But I still think the mdmWeB card is really good. Not as good as I expected, but I still feel like this move deck is a very powerful deck, but you can tech against it. It's super vulnerable to tech and a little bit of consistency. What are your overall thoughts on mdmWeB, Jason? Even though you didn't pick it up, you have played against it a decent amount. Do you think it's a strong card, or do you think it's just fine and you're still kind of waiting to see to pick it up?
Yeah, I think it's fine. I don't think it's busted. I think they've managed to kind of course correct before they brought her into the game, which is good. I think she's fine. You can end up with a really huge move card that kind of will win you the game. Or you don't. Well, I'm not seeing those. I think there was some talk of, could she be a utility card? Maybe you can just play her, even not in a strict move deck, and you can just move stuff around. So I'm not really seeing that. I'm not really seeing that working very, very much. If you're willing to play, I know, like a, kind of deck where you might need to move cards out of a lane, like a Angela Hope sort of deck, then you just play the move.
Yep.
You just play Crawler and Jeff and Nocturne. You just play those, the cards that can actually move themselves. You don't need this card as well. So I'm not sure I'm sold on the utility argument. I'm not really seeing that. But the first couple of days.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Like the first couple of days, I did see a bit of Beast with her, but then people seem to have given up on that. Like I say, 3 cost. I think it's just that bit too awkward. I think second dinner obviously kind of saw that would probably be busted if Beast remained at 2. So I think they've done a good job in kind of preempting issues there, and probably the task as well. So sometimes we give secondary a bit of flack for the change they make, but I think they've actually managed to get this into a good spot ahead of time, which is a good job by them, I think.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, they definitely got it in a good spot. It is like a philosophical or like a moral question almost, right? Where it's like, why not just make the mdmWeB 3 rather than, nuke the Shuri Red Skull deck, because now they can't play. That deck's already not great, in shape these days. And then, nuke the Beast, because all the bounce people are pissed. Like Jeff Hooglin was like losing his mind on Twitter. I saw when they nerfed his Precious Beast, and I get it. That guy's been playing bounce from day one. So I'm sure Glazer's pissed. So you piss off the bounce people, the little bit of people is playing Shuri Red Skull, but also like Shuri Red Skull is a nice pool 3 deck. So people who are just starting out, take away their Taskmaster. Like you can't do Task Ebony Maw, or you can't do like Task 0, stuff like that on the last turn. Or the She-Hulk one's the big one, right? Where you do Shuri and then skip turn 5. Now She-Hulk costs 1. So you have 20 power She-Hulk plus Taskmaster, so you could do a 20-20. And it's tricky. They don't know where you're playing. The She-Hulk kind of gives you the option there. and that's just totally dead. So I don't know. To me, that kind of nukes the Sure Red Skull deck like straight up. So it is interesting that they did the old let's nerf around the card. They did nerf her too. I mean, she was a 2/3, so they did it both. So they must have been just absolutely crazy in their testing. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. But I do think she's in a good place now. Sorry, go ahead, Jason.
So I was just gonna say, I think you're right. It's a good point, isn't it? Sometimes you can get fixated on, a card and the stuff around the card, and then you forget about all the other decks, especially for players who were earlier on in their Marvel Snap journey playing, Shrew Red Skull with their pool 3 cards. It's true, and the bounce players paying for Madam Web sins. There's something to said about that, isn't there? Really. So yeah, it's a good point you make.
Yeah, no, and I don't know what's wrong or right. I mean, personally, I prefer if they just hit the card. Like, they could have made her. They could just made her 3/1. If she's broken, just make her 3/1. But maybe like at the end of the day, copying 120 power torch on turn 6 and with no counter because you pass priority. Maybe that's just so busted that it's just they can't. They said in the task change that's like it messes up future design space. So any combo like that, it's just. They want to make ones that they want to be able to play like something alongside the Taskmaster is basically just too broken on turn 6. So hey, it is what it is. Let me go through this deck. This is a Regis's build. I think it's pretty good. I've played it a decent amount. My original, I just tried to brew my own when I started, and I ended up on Kyera was Tribunal was a Cannonball, and Kyera was Falcon. But basically this list, but Falcon and Cannonball. Cannonball, I was having a really hard time in the mirror match because I was just punching their Vulture or their Dagger and just getting wrecked. So just auto wins the other lane. So it wasn't doing, I kind of wanted to play a card that can win the lane. But anyway, this deck is Ghost Spider, Human Torch, Iron Fist, Dagger, Madam Web, Doctor Strange. Cloak's interesting in here. Cloak, Vulture, Kyera, Hercules, Beast, and Tribunal. The nice thing with playing a Tribunal version is that you could and a Tribunal version with Kyera is normally on a Human Torch deck, whether you're playing, Phoenix Force or any Torch move type of deck. Torch is very high risk, high reward type of thing. He can get Killmonger, he can get Shang-Chi, Shadow King. There's a lot of counters to this card. And so normally what I do if I'm playing like a normal bounce move deck before Madam Web, Sydney Sweeney came out into the game, was kind of wait on Human Torch. Like I'm not playing out Human Torch turn 1. I'm not playing him out even turn 2. I kind of see what kind of deck I'm at, and it's like, oh, okay, it's not a Surfer deck. It's not a Destroy deck. I don't have to worry about Killmonger. Now on turn 3, I'll play, Iron Fist Torch or something like that, or Ghost Spider, Torch Ghost Spider. Turn 3, but with this deck, because you're playing Kyera and you're playing Living Tribunal, turn 1, it's like, all right, ship it, like let's send out the torch, flame on, like let's go, baby, we're going out there, and what the goal is just make this thing as big as humanly possible. So you pump this guy up, you protect him with Kyera. If you think they're going for Shadow King type of thing, you do have the Beast to dodge still. And then obviously like Hercules is kind of crucial to this game plan. You want to get the Hercules out, Madam Web in one lane, Hercules in another lane, send the Madam Web, send the torch to the Hercules. Hercules bounce the torch, bounce back the torch with Beast, play again into the Hercules lane, bounce back to the Madam Web, bounce back to the thing, play Living Tribunal. You got about like 34 in each lane and you're kind of chilling, So that's like the whole point of the deck. It's pretty solid, and it's kind of one of these decks where I think it's a pretty good deck. To your point, Jason, I don't think it's like a problem deck. Like Arishem was a problem when it came out, it doesn't feel like Arishem power when it came out, but it does feel like a good deck, maybe low tier 1, honestly, that I think you have to at least respect or have some sort of answer to. And I think Clog, like you're playing, is a good answer to it. And I think like Shadow King, Shang-Chi are good answers to this deck. But if you show up with like some normal kind of, even like just a regular Arishem deck or some Kitty, Pride, Athena without any like kind of clog or tech, then this deck could just straight up run you over. It'll overpower you. It's just a lot of power, and it's not just the torch. You know, you could have just a dagger and a vulture going. You know, this vulture gets up to like 27 power, like it's nothing. You know, so yeah, it's an interesting deck. It can be teched against, but I do feel like it's like a pretty strong deck, and I think move is in a place where like it needs to be respected, and I do think the card Aranya is gonna make it like quite a bit better as well. So I'm kind of excited to see where the move archetype goes, because I do think move is like a very good respectable deck in Marvel Snap, but like I said at the beginning, the 3 nerfs, you know, Beast, Task, and Madam Web, I do think kind of put her in check, and that she really isn't broken. I don't think she's breaking the game, but yeah, pretty cool card. Also, like another thing too is Madam Web does fit in a few different decks. It's definitely not just move deck. This is like the baseline. This is where, you know, she's obvious, but in what's it called, like Patina Kitty Pride type of decks, she's pretty good. Like you play her like with Elsa Bloodstone. You pop the card, move it over, you know, pump the card, move it over, stuff like that. Lockdown decks are playing her. So she definitely like has some use. Oh, and Lockjaw. Some people playing Thanos Lockjaw, stuff like that. I thought the kid actually sent me a list today. He was playing, he was in Greece. He's saying he's on the beach in Greece right now. He's playing some Lockjaw Thanos deck. And, you know, you throw the Madam Web into the Lockjaw lane, or if she pops out of the Lockjaw lane, it's nice to be able to you just have permanent Space Stone, old Space Stone, that you can just kind of ship out of there. So she does have some other applications, but on all those decks, it's like you don't need her. You don't have to go pick her up, but you know she's like an interesting piece in those kind of decks. But in this deck, you absolutely need her. If you want to play move, you want to play bounce move, this is like an absolute staple, I think. You can't play this deck without her, I don't think. Or at least like why would you, you know? You may as well play something else. So yeah, that's Regis's version. This is kind of somewhat similar to what you were playing, Jason Kelly. I don't know if you've seen this. Cam Best put out a video, and his best brew was kind of what I'm talking about, where it's like you have Madam Web in the deck, but this is not a Madam Web deck, and you don't need Madam Web in this deck. It's mostly a kind of dagger clog build that a lot of people have been playing with Ajax. You know, kind of before this, they were, you know, playing the Hazmat Ajax, and it's like but you also have the dagger clog package. Like I know Yo Woody plays stuff like this. So this was Cam Best's best brew with the deck. I think he had like 80% win rate or something, and top infinite with this deck. So it's Ghost Spider, Iron Fist, Nico, Titania, and then Dagger, Madam Web, White Widow. You know, Hawkeye. You really want that. You really want that acid arrow, as you know. Green Goblin, Vulture, Beast, and Cannonball. So the Cannonball's still good. You know, he got buffed. And this is kind of an interesting way to play the Madam Web stuff, right? You can always relocate, you know, if you need to help out your lane that you clogged. Like, you clogged them, but you gave them Titania, so they have too much power. But, you know, maybe Madam Web just, hey, send the White Widow over there, you know? Send the White Widow somewhere else. Send the 2/3 Kate Bishop. So she kind of fixes your lanes. And, you know, Cannonball obviously just wins the lane by himself. Have you seen any decks like this out there, J. Kells?
I haven't actually. That's kind of why I thought, you know, I haven't yet. How useful is she? Because I just haven't seen it. But this does look pretty solid actually. I like the look of this. So I probably will start running into some more of these decks, you know, as people get more used to the card and find more uses for it. So yeah, that does look pretty interesting actually.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it either, and I played it a bit. It feels pretty strong. But what Cam Best was saying is, at his level, at the top of the Infinite, everybody's playing the tech cards. Everybody's playing, you know, people are playing Cosmo, Shadow King, you know, Red Guardian. Yeah, Red Guardian pops your Madam Web, all this. So if you kind of do go all in on the Torch, Dagger, whatever, like, one of those is going to get hit by a tech card. Where I'm at like 7K Infinite or something right now. I'm not seeing any of these tech cards. Like, nobody's playing them. So for me, I could just play the move deck and I'm fine, you know? So, but he's saying that's kind of what he's running into. So it's interesting. It's like a little dance, you know, depending on your pocket meta, you know, whatever, or if you want to call that shit. You know, I don't know. But yeah, so that's kind of interesting take on the Madam Web stuff. I mean, she's an interesting card, and I think she's going to get even like more interesting with time, and fits in a few different decks, you know. So like pretty cool stuff. It just move a card every turn. I mean, yeah. I mean, they didn't read it out for the people. If anyone doesn't know by now, ongoing, you can move one of your other cards away from here each turn. So yeah, pretty sick stuff. Turns all your cards into vision. It's old Space Stone, but not once. It's old Space Stone every single turn. So I mean, pretty freaking good, I think. But yeah, so if you're not a mover, maybe you can actually skip her. But you'd be skipping her and you'd be skipping Aranya. So do you think you're gonna skip Aranya too, Jason? Potentially.
I think I might get Aranya actually. Let me tell you a little story. Well, once upon a time in the land of Marble Slap, there was a card called Forge, which was a
Yeah.
1/1 and +2 power to the next card you play.
True.
And what do we have now? Aranya is old
Busted. He was
Forge
busted.
with
Yeah.
move. Exactly, he was busted. They nerfed the shit out of him and Hulk Buster and all that. So everyone was just ruining everyone with Destroy. They nerfed it, and they brought the same card back but with a move. So so Aranya is going to have a lot of uses. All the Destroy players are gonna figure that out pretty quickly. They're gonna start running Aranya where they used to run Forge. I'm sure. It's just a good card. Add 2 power to the next the next one you play as a 1-drop. You can't go wrong with that. So I think I'm going to roll for Aranya. Anyway, 'cause it's just that's kind of what I like to do. I like to get cards that I think would be generally useful, and yeah, Old Forge was generally useful. So is Aranya.
Definitely. Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Surfer, Destroy,
Yeah,
Bounce. Like it's a one cost that does +2, so you get your +2, then you bounce them back, and then you can play it again. Get another +2 move on turn 6, right? So,
yeah,
yeah, man, and none of those are even move decks that I'm talking about. Like what if you do get it on a Human Torch? The Human Torch goes into a Hercules, then it's like, all right, like you're kind of laughing. So yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, one cost is kind of low commitment, and I like one cost cards that don't care about Killmonger too. Like if you Killmonger the Aranya, like whatever, like as long as he gets his effect off once, it doesn't matter.
yeah.
So yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it. I like that you kind of brought that up. Yeah, it's like Aranya probably goes in everything. Okay, so I mean, just wanted to bring this card up here. I mean, this is Husky Agatha. I haven't played it at all. I think Sclarific posted this in the Alliance chat. So shout out to Sklar.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna read this out. It's a bunch of odd cards with Agatha and Black Bolt Stature. You can look up Husky Puppies on Twitter if you want to see, but it's kind of interesting. People are genuinely playing Agatha. You know what? Let's talk about Agatha more when we get to the OTAs. And then,
Yeah.
okay, you know what? Yeah, it's because of Agatha and because of this Ice Machine deck, I think we should go to the OTAs now. So let's get into it as I'm kind of... Okay, hold on. There we go. Boom. Okay. Jay Kelly, do you see my screen with the OTAs here?
Yeah. Can see it.
Okay, sweet. Sorry, it's only my second time hosting the pod, so I'm doing my best. Okay, so,
Doing a great job, man. Great job.
we had a pretty big OTA. It's pretty interesting. Sandman, Mockingbird, Arrow, Black Cat, Ghost Rider, Moon Girl, War Machine, and Agatha all got hit. Let's start with the Sandman one. This one's pretty big. So let me go to the scroll down here. We had old 5/6 on reveal. Players can only play one card next turn. So that was, the old Sandman effect. You play one card. New 5/7 on reveal. Next turn, cards cost one more. So we've relied on Sandman to be negative pressure against strong decks that can threaten several cards at the end of the game. However, we've seen only over time when the metagame provides Sandman with that kind of opening, those decks tend to be a frustration. It's reminiscent of Leech. They're saying they're comparing this to Leech. I mean, that's a little crazy to me. I don't know about that, Jake Kells. But it doesn't feel like old Leech to me. I'm not saying I'm a Sandman enthusiast, but Jesus Christ, I mean, you invoke the name of the little green man, like that's crazy. And softening the penalty on Sandman will make it less effective locking down the game while still meaningfully impacting enemy plans to play tons of cards. I'll ask you first, Jake Kells. What do you think about this Sandman change?
I didn't really have much of a problem with the old Sandman because it was, they're usually playing Ultron. You kind of knew exactly where they're going to play Ultron, and if you're running Goliath, if you're going to win, you're going to win. So Sandman wasn't causing me a huge problem. 'cause it's really telegraphed. This new one, don't know how I feel about this. I kind of like the kind of understand the concept. Just restricting what they can do on that final turn. I'm sure this is probably bad for the bounce players. You hit monkey players or whoever that want to flood the board on the last turn. But again, I've not seen too much of it. So maybe it's had the effect they wanted, that's to kind of get him out of the game for a little bit. But yeah, I'm just not sure how you'd use this unless you're playing Mobius yourself. I'm not sure how you'd use this card to your own advantage. Why would you hurt your hand in this way? I'm not quite sure where they're going with this. What they think people are going to do with it, unless they're trying just to get him out of the game a bit, bring his play rate down or something.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with you. It's a little weird of a change to me. I didn't have a problem with the old one either, and I didn't play the old Sandman deck, but it's like you said, like Ultron either beats you or he doesn't. You either lose to Doctor Doom or you lose to Ultron or you don't. And you just retreat if you don't. Just get out of the game. You can't beat Ultron / Doctor Doom on the last turn. They have a blue Marvel sitting in the lane. They have a Patriot sitting in the same lane. Then they play Sandman as their third card. You know what they're gonna do. It's so telegraphed. It's like 4 turns being telegraphed. So if you can't beat a bunch of 5-power drones, then because they got Patriot and Blue Marvel, that's 20 and 20 in each lane. If you can't beat it, just leave. And if you can, then you can stay and get like 4 to 8 cubes. So I didn't have too much of an issue either, and I liked playing a lot of cards on the last turn too. But I thought it was pretty fine. This, I feel like they kind of nuked him to me. I find it interesting. I actually don't hate this text. Next turn, cards cost 1 more. I think Dream Dimension is the location. I forget what it's called. I think it's Dream Dimension that basically is that. But I wish they would have. Well, I don't wish, but I think they're eventually going to have to make this next turn, cards cost 1 more for your opponent. I don't know why it affects you as well. And when I was on the way home from SnapCon, Jake, I was just a quick story. I was watching. I don't watch too many of the Marvel movies, but I was watching Spider-Man: No Way Home. I just had the Snap thing. I was like, all right, let's watch Marvel. And there's a lot of Sandman in that movie. He's got a big role. He can target where his sand goes. He doesn't have to affect everybody. It doesn't have to be like a lore thing where he affects everybody. So I think they might have to do your opponent's cards cost 1 more. Because like you said, it's like unless you're running Mobius or you have to do Ultron / Doctor Doom, right? Because it is maximum 6. So you can still do that play, but they could do more. So this is basically just a massive nerf to the card, honestly. Because they can play 2 cards. They cost 1 more, but if they want to play 2 cards, they want to play a Human Torch Ghost Spider, they can do that, And before they couldn't do that, or if they want to play Hit Monkey Mysterio, maybe they can. I don't know if the math works out there, but 4, 3,
7.
No, I don't think they would be able to do that. So hey, you totally shut down bounce, but I mean, I think this is a timeout. It's a feels bad card, and in that sense, like that's what you said pretty much. It's like he doesn't feel good to play against. So these cards like Galactus, like Sandman, like Leech, like Dr. Octopus, the Professor X, Professor X, another one. Old Spider-Man is another one. These cards don't have a long shelf life in Marvel Snap. If there's a stun card in Yu-Gi-Oh, they called it stun, So if there's a stun card in Marvel Snap, it seems like it's just gonna get hit by the ban hammer or the Nerf hammer, I should say, not ban.
Been taken back.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into Mockingbird. This is 6'10". It was a 6'10". Now it's a 6'9". Their logic is when you take away power, it lowers the stats of a card. And this card stats were too long. I actually looked at this before because I'm like, why the hell would they? This is weird. To me, I'll start on this one. This is like a strange side grade. I thought the original nerf was pretty good on Mockingbird to move her to a 6. And I like the idea of a 10 because you can build her with Scar, which I think Scar, like, he doesn't have too much support anymore. They nerf Red Hulk, they nerf Blob, like, these typical Scar cards, like, he's not what it used to be. Like, he's taken a lot of strays, and he was never that broken of a card to begin with. So I kind of like the idea of Scar having, like, a new toy to play with. They already took that away. I don't think 6'10", 6'9" is a big change here. Like, they're saying, oh, it's it's going to affect it. Like, trust me, bro. But it was not the case with Adam Warlock when they said, oh, we give him power, and trust me, bro, like, more power is better than less power. Like, that wasn't true for Adam Warlock. More people played 2-0 Adam Warlock than they played 5-5, and he's got 5 power now. So, to me, this is like, yeah, you could dodge Shang-Chi now, but you'll have 1 less power. So it's kind of a wash to me. This is a side grade, and I think Mockingbird's still going to be just as strong as she was when she was a 6'10". I don't think, but you can't play her with Scar now, which is a little bit of a bummer to me. So I don't love this change personally. But what do you think, Jake Ells?
Yeah, when I looked at this change, I thought it doesn't make a huge amount of difference. You know, if you got Mockingbird down to 0.09, basically as good as 0.10, isn't it? You know, well, it's not, but you know, it's 1 power less. But you know, it's still a lot of power for 0 cost. It's just still a good card. It's interesting what they say though about Shang-Chi, about, you know, the whole vulnerabilities to Shang-Chi is not really a thing. That's kind of what they're saying there. I don't know. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's how we perceive. You know, I guess if you're higher up in Infinite, maybe that's how you perceive it. Maybe it is. You know, if you're top 250, maybe that is a thing. Maybe across the whole Marble Snap population, maybe that just doesn't really exist as a thing, which is what they seem to be saying there, isn't it? But yeah, I don't think her play rate's going to go down massively. You're not going to take her out of your zoo deck. If you're playing Squirrel Girl or whatever, you know, you're not going to take her out because she's a 9 power eye. You're going to keep her there. So
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit of a side grade really. I don't think it's going to make a huge amount of difference. It's still one of the best cards in the game, I think.
Yeah, I like your point of the Shang-Chi. It's like, okay, let's say they're right. Like, let's just take them at their word. They have the data. It's like, it's still basically a 0-9. Like, who cares? You know, like, it's still a 9 power card. Like, 9 is one of the best stat lines in all of Marvel Snap. I mean, it's just, you love just playing a 9 power card if you can do that. So, like, the fact that they moved it down, like, if you're gonna say Shang's not a thing, maybe they should have made it 8 power, you know? Like, if you really want to nerf the card, you should have put it to 8 power, in my opinion. I think 9 is this card's still going to be fantastic. So, and you know, like I said, but the second they released this card, I've been screaming that it's completely busted and they need to nerf it immediately before release. Even the data mine, I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? You know, like, this is ridiculous. So, and I like their original nerf of move it to 6, but they probably should have went to 8 power. And I think she would probably be settled at 6-8. You know, I don't think you'd need to change her after that. She'd probably be fine. So, 6-9, she's still going to cause the same problems, I think, that whatever caused them to nerf her in the first place. I think that they're still going to have the same problems at a 6-9. It's still a ridiculously good card. Let's go to Arrow. This one's another strange one. 5-9, and now it's a 5-10. So we're a Mockingbird, supportive Scar. Oh, okay. So they're giving. I actually didn't read this. This is funny. So they're saying they took away Mockingbird away from Scar, but now Arrow's part of the Scar lineup. So we look for a few candidates. To me, I want to say real quick on this, Jason, that this tells me that they're not playing these Scar decks, because the nice thing with Mockingbird is that she's not only a 10, but she was a 6. So Kyera puts the condom on her. So she's protected with the Kyera, the dome, the condom. And, Kenki Shang-Chi. Arrow is unfortunately a 5 cost card. So I find even playing cards like Call Obsidian and Crossbones and stuff like that. I know, like, shout out to Gunny T, and these are like the big dumb idiot staples. But when I build a Scar deck, I like to just go like Thanos stones and like all 6s. You know, to me that's a much cleaner setup. And then you got a Kyera protects everything. And and Mockingbird was awesome in that, because you play Mockingbird off curve, Thanos stones discounter, and then you play your Mockingbird on 3 or 4. And then you start slamming 10s on the board, 6 power 10s. Maybe you do a Lockjaw the next turn, and just start pumping out 10s. Arrow unfortunately does not fit that. She's a sitting duck for Shang-Chi now. 5'10", she has 0 protection for Shang-Chi. So she's basically just asking for it if you play her on 5, which if you're playing her with Scar, you 100% are playing her on 5, because now you need to discount your Scar. So I don't love that, but I do like that they buffed Arrow. I will say that. I think she deserved a buff. She was okay at a 5-9, but I actually like that just in a vacuum 5-10 Arrow. Having said all that Scar shit, I actually like this change. So what do you think, Jake Ells?
what do I think? Yeah, it's good to see Aero get some love. She's been kind of sat at the side of the road for quite a long time. Sat there on her own. It's good to bring her back into the fold, I think. But I still don't think she's going to be that good a card. I mean, they kind of say it themselves in the text there that, her effect isn't strictly beneficial. So, and I think on turn 5, you want to be doing something that is very beneficial. So I don't know whether playing a 5/10 card, not necessarily knowing what you're going to move and what you're not. I think on turn 5 you want to be doing something better. So it's good that she got a buff, but I don't think this is going to make a really, really playable card. I mean, I don't know what you're going to do. Maybe you play her in a Kingpin lane, take some power off the card you move, or you maybe play her in a Craven lane, or you put them both in that lane and maybe get a bit of power that way. But if you're lucky to get a Fisk Tower, great. But otherwise, I don't see much general use that she gives you, or the other kind of big the other big things you want to do on turn 5. So that's where I'm at with this card.
That's a good point you bring up, Jason, because if you do want to be slamming something big on 5, 5 cost needs to be really impactful. I haven't really thought of that. So let me ask you this: do you think Arrow should be a 4 cost card?
A 4 cost card Arrow would be a bit more interesting because you've still
We'd
got
have to move
turns
the power
to
down, obviously.
I'm
She
sorry?
can't be a 4/10, obviously. That does this. It'd be ridiculous.
No.
But, or 4/9 even. But I don't know. Let's say like a 4/6 or a 4/7 Arrow with the same effect. Let's say 4/7 even, because I don't think Staggy's that good. I think Staggy could use some more love, honestly. So let's say 4/7 Arrow. Do you think that would be a more interesting change?
I think it probably would be. Probably would be more interesting.
Oh,
You've still got a couple more turns to do something more with whatever you're trying to do. But I think 5 is a difficult space for it to be in. 4, now we could probably cook something up with a 4 cost Arrow with a decent stat line. Don't know what, but there's probably something there, isn't there? Kingpin, Craven, maybe even Stegron, and all that sort of stuff. Cannonball, I don't know. Magneto, it's probably something there. But
yeah, and that deck is getting a massive buff pretty soon. This card, Scream is coming to the game.
Yes.
Definitely after mdmWeB, probably my most card I'm most excited about. So yeah, that is going to be at least a deck that people try to play, myself included. When that card comes out, I'm definitely getting Scream. I think it's next month, and that card's like +2 every time one of your opponent's cards move. So. Yeah, I mean, definitely fits the Arrow, but you don't need to play Arrow even in these Kingpin decks, is what I've realized. Like, Magneto moves 3, so, I mean, you can just play Magneto, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But you can play Arrow. I've played Arrow and I've played her without, but it's interesting. I'm happy they at least gave her some love. This Black Cat change, this is just, the Hella nerf was massive. -2 on every single card, -2 power. That's what Hella does now. So this is just compensating for that. Moving this to a 4/9 and a 4/10 sounds great in a vacuum, but old Hella, this was a 4/9. Current Hella, this is a 4/8. So this card's actually still weaker than it's always been. We talked about the Affliction deck before, Jason. I mean, this Hella inflicts your own cards. So this is a 4/8 with Hella, which is just not as good as it was before. So to me, it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, Black Cat's dip, seen big dip following adjustments to Hella and Black Knight. Black Knight, it kind of is interesting, but this is definitely not a staple in Black Knight. It's like an optional card that you can maybe include, maybe not. So I like that they're buffing Black Cat, but really I don't think it changes anything in Marvel Snap.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think if you're playing this card, you're probably doing something with APOC and Dracula and trying to get shitload of swarms on the board or something. You're probably not really thinking of a Hella build. There's much stronger discard decks out there. So, I don't think this moves the needle very much in terms of the overall discard landscape. I don't think it does very much. And as you say, 4/8, she was a 4/9. So, I don't think it does very much, really. But good they're showing the card some love, I guess, but don't think it does much really.
Yeah, and it's I think they could have did something else to one of the other discard cards. The thing is, like, once in a while, as a Hella gamer, Sometimes you get in a pinch and you want to play out your Black Cat on 4. Because this just kind of happens sometimes, right? It's like, okay, I need to put the card here. Like, this location's going to close down. I'm on turn 4. I have nothing else to play. Like, let me just throw a 4-9. It's nice to have the 9 because you don't have to worry about any Shang-Chi stuff. You just have a 4-10 sitting there. I mean, she's just a sitting duck now. So there's that too. You know, you get some like +5 energy to start the game. You know, it's like, all right, well, I'll just play out the Black Cat, like whatever, you know, and then maybe it'll open up a spot for my blade. My blade could hit this card because I played out the Black Cat, so I could do Black Cat blade, something like that. And you know, that's just like, I just prefer that she was a 4-9. So yeah, I think that, you know, it's like, if you want to buff Hela, just buff Hela, man. But people hate, just like they hate Sandman, people hate Hela too. So I don't think that's happening anytime soon.
Yeah, Hela was so oppressive.
Yeah, she was for sure.
Yeah, you know, that deck was just far too consistent for a casino deck. Far too consistent.
Consistent and hard to counter, right? There's no real, and it's not like you can Cosmo. Like, you'd have to Gene Grey Cosmo. That's like the only thing you can do. Like, yeah, or put a bunch of rocks in their deck or something. Those are really the only answers. So I get it. But you know, I'm a discard bro, so I'm a little sad about it. But it is what it is. Speaking of discard bro, we got 4/4 Ghost Rider. You know, this was in Husky's Agatha list, so you know he's making use of the new buff. Ghost Rider is an exciting card. We'd like to find the right spot for it to feel like a miniature combo decks to play. We know from the early days, beta, how strong 3-cost Ghost Rider was, so we decided not to risk such a drastic change. I think that's fair, honestly. I think this would be insane at a 3-cost. We'll see how some power goes and evaluate from there. I think they should have maybe went farther. If they're not going to go to 3, they probably should have went 4/5 on Ghost Rider. It has always kind of been one of the weaker discard cards. This is a card that is specific to Black Knight decks, pretty much. You know, Black Knight or Agatha, if you want to even call that a deck. You know, so I don't even know if I consider Agatha a deck, but this is like, you know, this is a Black Knight card, right? And this is one of the cards that has taken a massive hit from the Zabu change. Zabu used to be discount all your 4-drops permanently. Now it's like you can't play new Zabu with this card at all. Like, you need to discard the card first, then discount, then play Ghost Rider. Like, the math doesn't add up. You already, you know, so this was a play where you had Zabu on the board, and then you play Ghost Rider Ebony Blade turn 6. You play Ghost Rider Shang-Chi turn 6. Or you have Zabu and Sarah, and you play Ghost Rider Ebony Blade and Shang-Chi, all three on 2/2/2. Boom, 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 turn 6. Have an Infinite, a Shang-Chi, and a 20 power Ebony Blade. It's like, you can't beat that, you know. So that was kind of the nasty shit people used to do with Black Knight. And because of the Zabu change and, you know, a lot of other changes and new decks, everything coming out in Marvel Snap, you can no longer kind of do these things. So I don't think a 1 power increase to Ghost Rider really moves the needle, but I like that they're buffing it. I wish they would have went 4/5. Sorry, I rambled a bit. I'm a big fan of Discard, Jay. What do you think about the Ghost Rider change, my man?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think 4/5 would probably be a bit more interesting. I think someone actually played Ghost Rider against me yesterday. I think it was just, you know, straightforward. Sif on 3, discarded the Infinite, obviously. Ghost Rider on 4, so I guess that's still there, but you're not really, doing that for a 4/4 Ghost Rider, are you? Doing it for the 20 power Infinite? So,
yes,
yeah, I think putting him up, giving him more. I think he does need more stats because, you know, could bring back anything, couldn't he? Really, unless you completely set it up perfectly. So yeah, I think buffing him to 5 is probably what I'd do. 4/4, I don't think really makes him a staple in any discard deck. Really, I wouldn't have thought. Well, I guess we're going to talk about this Agatha, this thing called Agatha, aren't we, soon? But yeah.
Yeah, and you make a good point. Like, if this is a 4/0, and if it's a 4/0 with Infinite, it doesn't matter. They just played a freaking Infinite on 4. Like, it's ridiculous. So, you know, it's more of a change for if they hit their Magneto, if they hit a Giganto, you know, even like Black Cat on the last one, right? These are, you know, 3 power plus 10, 3 power plus 12. You know, that's when the power of the Ghost Rider. If they hit Infinite, that's the Infinite. That's the nut, baby. So they hit their Infinite, then that's 20, and there's nothing you could do, man. It's look at the retreat button. Hope they didn't snap at that point, or if you got a Shang or something to answer. But yeah, That's their nut combo. Okay, Moon Girl. This one's interesting. So Moon Girl's just a 4/5. Let's see what they said, and then I'll ask you what you think, Jason. So Moon Girl's time in the sun faded once Loki hit the timeline. That's a weird correlation. I don't know if that's correlated there, but we'd like to explore pushing this card back to some of her former glory. And we started trying a 3-cost version internally, but it was totally cracked. That's hilarious. I could definitely see that. So don't expect to see that change. We might have considered more power here, but given how strong Dex with Mockingbird has been lately, we just wanted to give Moon Girl the 1 power. What do you think about this, Jake Ells? Pool 1 card.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about this. Again, it's good to see like an early kind of series card getting a bit of love. I guess the main use is going to, probably still in like the early game, kind of collector, Devil Dino kind of stuff. I don't know, you can do like some She-Hulk stuff. I guess you can do some Mockingbird stuff if you wanted to, can't you? And that's probably the main use there. But I don't know. Does this make any of those decks so much better? I mean, if you're doing Moon Girl, She-Hulk, you're doing it anyway. I don't know. Does this 1 power make that much difference? I'm not sure. But one spicy thing I did think about, and you might appreciate this, no big deal, is that I think you were a fellow C5 enjoyer like myself.
C5, yeah. I knew you were gonna say C5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wonder if she could have a space there. I mean, I don't know what you think, but I absolutely loved C5. I played that deck so much, and then it's got power crept out of the game, and I'm about to give up on it. And I just wonder if this I don't know, is there a build where you have, I don't know, Moon Girl, loads of 1-drops, maybe even a Black Swan, just to try and, 'cause I think C5 suffers from not being able to put enough cards on the board. Is this a way of getting loads of cards on the board? We've got like Hydra Bob. I guess you don't know where he's going to end up, but he's in 5 straight up. I guess you've got Ant-Man.
Martyr too. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if that deck would work. I think you'd have to keep the curve really low. Not sure even if it would work, but that's kind of that's the only new thing I can think of that you can probably do with this card, maybe, that you couldn't necessarily do.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, look, C4 is miserable, so C5 is definitely like a real deck that has actual cards, that do things in the game, that are, kind of, you play low cost, you get them out for 5 pretty easily. I played like C5 nonstop when Alioth was 5. That was by far my favorite deck, and that's basically all I played, for a long time. Like for like a month, I just only played C5 because it's just ridiculous with the 5-power Alioth and Doctor Doom, right? So it's like I have Alioth and Doctor Doom, and it's just like just absolutely busted. You just always have the nuts, basically. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, I don't know if copying. I think the thing you're looking to copy in a C5 deck has to be the low-cost cards, right? Has to be Ant-Man, Martyr, Hydra Bob. So maybe you run all 3, and that's how you kind of support Moon Girl. Like, that's the Moon Girl C5, So I don't know if that would be good. I don't think I would want to clone Cerebro, because you don't have Ravonna. Like, you're not naturally playing a Ravonna in a C5 deck, and it's not like a C3 where you're basting the Cerebro, where it'd be maybe a little bit better to have 2 Cerebros. If it was basted or if it was Ravonna discounted, I would like having 2. So it's really just the 1-cost boys. I don't know if that'd be strong enough, but it would be really interesting to see. I mean, it sounds kind of fun. I don't know.
Well, maybe copying some of the 2-costs. Like if you got 2 Medusas in your hand, that. A couple of Medusas, a couple of 1-drops. You can play 3 of those. And maybe that's the only thing I can think of. Otherwise, I'm not sure this change is going to make this card any more relevant in the meta of the game than it is at the moment, to be honest. Don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big Moon Girl gamer. I know like Cozy loves Moon Girl, for example. Like, he's obsessed. But I like kind of the problems you outline with the card are like, that's how I feel about the card too. Like, it's like, is it doing anything different from 4/4 to 4/5? My main issue with Moon Girl is like, okay, you play the Moon Girl, like, and then you skip a turn. They know what's happening, and it's just hard to get 4 and 8 cube wins when, like, it's like because obviously I'm gonna snap if I have She-Hulk in my hand, if I have She-Hulk Mockingbird in my hand and Moon Girl, like, I'm just gonna snap, obviously. So once the Moon Girl hits the board, they're out of there. Like they're not staying. If they can't beat two Mockingbirds, two She-Hulks, like they can't stay. Like it's just, you just played Moon Girl, right? It's so telegraphed. It's kind of like Black Panther Arnim Zola. Like it's like, all right, well the Black Panther's just sitting there by himself. Like I'm not fucking sticking around. Like I'm, so that's my main issue. And you're like you said, this moving it to 5 doesn't fix that. But hey, man, if someone could cook a C5, I mean music to my ears, Jake Ells. I love that. I love that idea. I think you'd have to do it. You just abuse the small cost cards, like you said, Dusa, Hydra. I don't have Hydra Bob yet in my collection personally. I'm not free to play, but I do like I'm budget-ish. I'm pretty casual. But anyway, this change is absolutely crazy. This one, War Machine. So. Pretty simple change. It used to be an on reveal, and now it's an ongoing. So same effect, same War Machine. They did just buff it. It was a 4/6, so it recently got buffed to a 4/7, and now they're buffing it again, which I think is great. I want to say up front, I absolutely love this change. I love that they're buffing War Machine. Let's see what they have to say. So many players noted the new activate keyword had the potential to benefit War Machine. Okay. We also thought that might be true, but it turned out even a 3/5 War Machine wasn't quite effective as one would hope a card would be leading into turn 6. So we're going to backup plan here. We're changing on reveal to ongoing. Jake Kells, what do you think about this very interesting War Machine change?
This is obviously going to get very toxic very quickly. This is what I think. You could do Storm, War Machine, Legion before that was there, but you would, unless you had Jeff yourself, you were locked out on turn 6. Now you're just locking out your opponent on turn 6. That people are going to start moaning about that very, very quickly, very loudly, and probably rightly so. But back in the early days of Marvel Snap, only kind of when I just started playing, really, I heard all these stories about this bullshit with Spider-Man absorbed. Man, I didn't have a clue what was going on. I didn't just start the game, but I heard there was a lot of bullshit going on. This is the same, isn't it? Your opponent can't play anything.
Yeah, you're locked out of playing. Yeah.
So we kind of come full circle with this. So that's what I think. It's good to see War Machine. It's kind of cool character in Marvel. Good to see him getting some love. You kind of want this kind of card. You want to have a good ability, but yeah, I think it's going to end up being real feels bad very quickly. Everyone's already cooking up the how can I completely fuck my opponent over decks already.
Yep.
So, strap yourselves in for the ride, people.
Yeah, it's true. And like you said, I mean, we started this whole thing with Sandman, right? And it's like, this guy got nerfed because he feels bad. I don't think his metrics were crazy. Mockingbird probably had some crazy stats, but I don't think Sandman's were too bad. It was a top deck, but, it also just buffed the shit out of Ultron. Might have something to do with why that deck's so good now, it's not like 5/7 Sandman was, making waves, but he feels bad. So, is War Machine going to feel so bad that he gets nerfed? I mean, maybe. We'll see. This is an interesting change. Having it ongoing is pretty crazy. Like you said, it's not even just a storm, it's just, you almost always wanted to play War Machine on 5, before, because you want to access, like, say it was a Prof X or a Storm lane even, but say Storm with no Legion, like you just have a Storm lane, which you would be naturally running in a War Machine deck. Playing a 4/7 on turn 5, you brought it up on the arrow point, right? It's like 5/9 with a solid effect. Even that's not enough to get it done. So what the hell's a 4/7 War Machine gonna do? Even if you play it with Hood, you play like Hood War Machine on 5, something like that, right? Like that's not a very good turn 5. It's just not. Like you're just not doing a whole lot of things on the board. So the fact that you could just play him on 4 now, it feels unbelievable in the deck. I mean, I'll tell you, I've played 6 games with the deck. 4 of the games are 4-cube wins. And one game I retreated for 1, the other game I won for 2. So it was just like, now it's going to be hard to get 8 cubes because they're staring at the red squares and they can't play, and you could play. So it's going to be tough to get 8-cuber wins with this card. But, I mean, my God, like, pretty cool. And I think the deck's really fun. And so I like this change, at least for now. But like you said, a week from now, we could be looking back like, okay, this is like way too broken. It's toxic. I can't play the fucking game. Like, it's not fun anymore, you know? And like, what do you do to counter it? Just like play your own war machine? Like, what do you do?
I don't know. You better make sure you get Rogue out on a Rogue or
Yeah.
Enchantress on 5, or maybe you put Echo in your deck and they just forget it's there, or something like that. But
Yeah. Yeah, you got
Rogue,
to
I
use the
think.
old ongoing counters. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool, man. I like this change. Hopefully, it doesn't break the game. The last change, Agatha. I
It's breaking the
mean,
game.
yeah,
Breaking the game.
this one's gonna break the game. The classic Agatha, and also they got the show coming out. I think right. Actually, Stanky
Yeah.
Kang called this last week. He said, "I think they're gonna buff Agatha because the show's coming out." Well, he was right. They did it. I can't believe he called the freaking Agatha buff. I've been screaming for Agatha buff for years. Actually, I always thought she should go to 18 power, but they got 614. She starts in your hand and she plays cards for you on even turns. So that's kind of interesting. So she plays your cards on even turns. We're as excited everyone else to see Catherine Hahn back for Agatha all along. Yeah, so okay, they're literally just not even hiding the fact that they buffed her for the show. So we decided to celebrate by letting our own Agatha play out a bit. You'll find a more interested in equal partnership these days, sharing the turns rather than her keeping them all to herself. We haven't adjusted any other functionality, showing up in your hand as a bonus card too. This is really the main appeal of Agatha right here. If people are new to Marvel Snap, or you're just filthy casual, and this is the filthy casual pod, I'll give you the breakdown here. There was this card in Marvel Snap called America Chavez, okay, and she had to get nuked out of the game because what she did was she lets you play the game with 11 card decks instead of 12. So she sits at the bottom, you draw all your other cards. And then you always draw her on 6. So at least for the first 5 turns, you're only playing 11 card deck, and that was just way too broken and way too consistent for any combo deck trying to combo any cards or get their early game. They get it so much more consistently with America Chavez. Agatha always has done that. She does the same thing. Some people don't know. Thanos and Quicksilver do the opposite. They cuck you for the rest of the game. So Thanos and Quicksilver, they start in your hand, but you now lose a draw. So they actually replace your turn 1 draw. So you start the game with less cards, and they make your deck less consistent, unless you really want that Quicksilver on turn 1. Then that's fucking consistent. But otherwise, the Quicksilver and Thanos are really bad that they start in your hand. Agatha is not like that at all. She starts in your hand, as they say, as a bonus card. So not only does Agatha start in your hand, but you still get your turn 1 draw. Essentially, you're playing with an 11 card deck, just like America Chavez. But the downside is she plays your fucking cards for you, and she's a moron and has no idea how to play Marvel Snap. So there's a massive downside. It's not like Chavez where you just get to play the game. You don't. So she is kind of an interesting card, at least to me. I know the kid hates her, but that's why the card's interesting to me. She does change the math of the game, and the math is, again, 12 card game. You draw 9. So the math can be like, even manipulating the math a little bit, as we saw with Chavez, makes a huge difference. So I don't think this change means a whole lot personally, Jason. I don't have any emotion on this change. It's whatever. I still think Agatha is not going to be a good deck. But what do you think about this Agatha change?
Yeah, the same. She's still a bit of a meme card, really, isn't she? I don't know. The fact that I guess you can play your odd. I mean, what are you going to do on those odd turns? You're going to try and discard her out of your hand, aren't you? It's probably the main thing you're going to try and do, which is what a lot of the, half decent Agatha decks were trying to do anyway. Get her out of your hand as quickly as possible so you can play the game yourself. So I guess you just get some control over that. I don't know. Bit of a nothing change, really. She's still a meme, still the same meme card that she was. But hope we should see a bit more play around the show, which is probably a good thing. But this means nothing to me really either.
No, me neither. And again, until they buffer power, I just don't think a 14 power is enough of a payoff. Like you just brought up the Infinite change before. It's like, dude, Infinite's 20. I could cheat him out way easier than an Agatha. I could just play my normal game and I could cheat out a 20. And Infinite lets me do that. Why the hell would I play a 14 Agatha? I think she'd be 17 to 18 power. then I would actually be messing around with some Agatha decks. But if it's like I'm jumping through all these hoops to get a 14 power card on the board, like I'm probably still losing the game. Like there's just so much stuff out there that just crushes that. So if I play this in you play your U.S. agent on here, Jay, like this is a 10 power card. Like you're not like sweating too much. That it costs 6, so it's whatever. So I mean, some people are getting creative with it, like Husky. So this got posted in our Alliance chat, and this is Black Knight, Iceman, Moon Knight, Lady Sif, Wave, Ghost Rider, Claw, Black Bolt Stature, Legion, Vision, and Agatha. So a deck like this, kind of interesting, right? You obviously want to see so Moon Knight and Lady Sif and Wave all guarantee that your Agatha will be played on turn 4. So this is kind of interesting because I never thought about using Moon Knight and Agatha because I haven't looked at an Agatha deck in a year. I used to play it with old Zabu back in the day. I used to play some Agatha. That was when I was kind of playing it. But this card, even costed card from each player's hand, as you see in this deck, is really just Ghost Rider. That's it. So long as you could dodge your Ghost Rider with your Moon Knight, he's always going to hit Agatha, and then later on into the game you could bring her back with the Ghost Rider. But even if you just kill the Agatha, you've basically now just have your America Chavez, right? Even if she gets discarded and you don't bring her back, you basically are playing a deck with old America Chavez now, which is also a very good thing. So kind of interesting stuff, and also Moon Knight obviously discount the stature as well as Black Bolt, so you don't have to rely on Black Bolt. Moon Knight discounts stature, Black Bolt does, and then if Lady Sif or Wave, Agatha, again for people who are casual, don't play with this card. She always plays herself if she can. It doesn't even say that on here, but that's how the UI works with this card. I mean, do you have any closing thoughts on Agatha, Jason?
No, I mean, that looks like a quite a good deck for this. I wonder what the Legion's trying to do in that deck. Is my thinking there, but if you're going to play Agatha, you want to play something like this. Yeah, that's Husky's made it. He knows what he's doing, much more so than I do. But yeah, that's probably as good as an Agatha.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's what's the Legion do here? I don't know, but that cause I'm looking at it that's a 7 power Ebony Blade. What's he doing? But that guy knows what he's doing. And Legion, I mean, it's just a really good card. And I want to get into a little bit how good of a card this is because this I don't want to bury the lead. I mean, we're an hour into the pod. I can't believe this has been my most successful deck of the last, I want to say 24 hours, my God. I mean, this deck just feels absolutely filthy. So we had a regular listener to the pod. I don't know if you know Jason, but just for the people listening, there was a guy named Iceman. He would always comment in the comments. Almost every week we see him in the YouTube comments. Iceman is a great guy. He recently quit Marvel Snap a month ago because he got a PS5. He's like, guys, I bought my PS5. I just want to play my PS5 games. He's like, I'm moving away from Marvel Snap. But he one time in the comments he showed us this deck. So this was and he said maybe he got it from JJ Rolk or it's his kind of version of what JJ Rolk was playing. So shout out to JJ Rolk from Detroit. Great guy. We did some bar hopping with him in Tampa. But this deck is the Hood, Ebony Maw, White Widow, Electro, Storm, Viper, War Machine, Blink, Legion, Cersei, Doctor Doom, Infinite. This is kind of my own brew of because they Iceman and JJ were not playing Storm Legion. It was just too inconsistent. Like you said, the old Storm, it's all you could do is play a Jeff on 6, right? Like you were saying, but now it's now you can play all the cards. So I feel like we should include that now where we never used to. And then you got to be careful with your blink too. Just make sure you know where the Legion's going because you might blink out a Legion. So the idea with this deck is it looks a little bit greedy, and it is because we're playing blink and we're playing Electro, and these cards kind of let us cheat out higher power cards. So you just hope that on your first 2 turns you draw out one of these 3 cards. So the Hood, Ebony Maw, or White Widow. If you get one of them, you're kind of off to the races. So on 3, Electro is great because you can Electro into Blink, and maybe you'll pull out a Doctor Doom, maybe you'll pull out an Infinite, you know, or you could Electro into Cersei. And if you are doing that, definitely stack your hood on top of the Electro lane, because now like Cersei, and then you morph your hood into it like an actual card that's not -3, and you morph your Electro where you're not Sandman anymore. Another thing you could do, which is extremely diabolical, Jason, is you play the Electro, and then you do the old Viper. You know, they try to nerf Sandman. You know, you want to nerf Sandman, you can only play one per turn. How about I ship a Viper across the board, or ship an Electro across the board? So now they're Sandman. So you know, that's always fun, and that's definitely where you got to spam emotes. If you're gonna do that, you got to be spamming emotes, snapping and spamming emotes. Like, what just happened? Oh my God, what just happened? Hello. You know, just ship the Electro over. So that's hilarious. But then another thing, War Machine just lets you play into Electro nonstop. So Electro says you can only play one card a turn. War Machine doesn't give a fuck. Okay, War Machine just play your game normally. Basically, War Machine reads ignore Electro's effect, ignore Ebony Maw's effect. You can't play cards here. War Machine doesn't give a fuck about that. Storm, we're gonna lock down the location. War Machine doesn't give a fuck about that either. So War Machine just gets, you know, lets you play under Electro, play under Storm, play under Ebony Maw, and then you know, of course, as you brought up earlier, you know, if you play a Storm on 3, and then I personally play my War Machine outside of the Storm lane, because I mean it is a 4/7, but you know, you are susceptible to counters. So if it ever becomes meta, and people start playing Rogue Enchantress, I think I'm just gonna play it in the Storm lane to protect him, so he doesn't get rogued. But you play the War Machine on 4, and then you play Legion on the Flood, and everything's flooded. And now you can just play. You could play a Doctor Doom. You could play Infinite because you have War Machine, so you could just play this card. You could play, like, if you played Electro, or no, you wouldn't have Electro, so you don't have 7 power. But yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of plays, right? Like Electro gives you 7, so you could do Infinite, Ebony Maw both on turn 6. You know, so you don't have to lock down a lane. You could just do nasty shit like this. And yeah, you're locking down their lane. You're sending over White Widow stuff. You're sending over the hood with Viper. So you have some interaction. You have some disruption on their side. And obviously Legion, just on his own, is just a ridiculous card. I mean, like 2 of my 4 cube wins was because freaking Legion is ridiculous. So you know, there's just some stuff comes up in the game, and you can Electro into Legion. You know, so no one's expecting a turn 4 Legion. So he could just do some nasty stuff. And this deck, or this shell, or if you want to kind of mess around with it, I just made this deck today. You know, and I haven't changed any cards yet. I was thinking I want to get a Shadow King maybe in here, maybe Shadow King over Doom, I don't know. But Dr. Doom's been sick. So, Jason, what do you think about this War Machine? Is this too toxic? Is this kind of bullshit going to get the card nerfed?
That looks like a very good deck. I remember. I think I was in the YouTube comments on the same episode where Iceman shared this deck. Yeah, shout out to him. Shame didn't realise he'd quit Marvel Snap. But yeah, it looks like this looks pretty crazy. Yeah, this is a really solid deck. I like the Cersei in there as well. I don't have Cersei, but yeah, getting rid of a hood and Electro. Yeah, this looks pretty crazy. Are you playing this deck now? Are you?
This is all I played today, yeah, and it's smashing. Like, it's absolutely smashing people. So, and I have a Snap Judge League, but I can't get a hold of the guy. If he kind of comes in last minute to play, I'm gonna be playing this deck in tournament. I don't care. Like, it feels disgusting. Like, I feel like I need to take a shower every time I play this freaking deck. It's just, you're just doing nasty shit. War Machine's always been a good effect. It's just awkward. It was, you know, you have to pay 4. We didn't have Zabu, and it only lasted 1 turn. Now that you could just throw this thing down on 4, like, God, you're just playing under War Machine. There's so many locations. Even, like, forget all the synergy I mentioned with Infinite 2. I didn't even mention. But, you know, Ebony Maw, you could always play it, not just 1, 2, and 3. Like, there's just a bunch of locations that, man, I would just love to have a freaking War Machine, you know, and then you just have it. So it's pretty sweet. You know, I'm into it. It feels really good. At least, you know, I played about 6 or 7 games, you know, so limited sample for sure. But if you look at our Alliance chat, like five other people in the Alliance chat, everyone's playing War Machine decks. Like, everyone's look at these War Machine decks. So everyone's kind of brewing their own War Machine stuff. So I'm definitely not saying this is the the final copy. This is it. Whatever. I just threw this together today. So definitely something to think about. And the Iceman deck didn't have Storm Legion before. Like that wasn't part of the deck. It had like Shadow King or something like that. So the fact that you could just very casually play Storm War Machine Legion, which obviously is just a snap 100% of the time. You always snap that. Like, it's a minimum free 2 cubes every time. It's kind of ridiculous. Feels like old Galactus almost, to be honest. So yeah, pretty interesting. And yeah, Cersei just to clean up the Electro, right? So if you played it, Jake Hells, maybe Cersei Blink Electro, maybe something else. You don't like need Electro here. It's kind of fun. I rarely send it over with Viper. That's it rarely comes up. You don't want to be playing Viper on turn 4 by yourself, generally, but you want to play like a Blink, on turn 4. You want to play Cersei on turn 4. Like you want to ramp. Electro's a ramp card. You don't want to be playing Viper, but it's hilarious when you do anyway. Okay, well that's pretty much it for decks, mdmWeB, everything. One kind of last thing I wanted to talk about with you. This was your idea, Jason, was just to talk about free to play and just being free to play player. If you don't mind me asking, just so we can get a framing for the audience, how many cards in the game are you missing?
Let me have a quick look.
I'll pull mine up too.
Yeah.
What is the tab you put? Is it question mark? See, I probably shouldn't have tried to do this live on the pod. I don't know how to edit either, so this is kind of just staying in. There is a way to do it where it shows the cards that you don't have, right?
Yeah. So I think I play on my phone. It's sorted by newest, and then you have to put the unowned on, and then you may have to click the arrow to sort it the other way, maybe. But yeah, sort by newest. I think you're sorting by energy at the moment.
Oh, newest? Okay.
Yeah. And maybe
And does it have any of my
fives on at the moment?
I know there's a bunch of 5s I don't have, like Kang. Like I don't have Kang, for example, so my Kang's not showing up here.
Yeah, so maybe
if I can maybe sort by power.
Yeah, I think. So I'm sorting by newest.
Oh,
I've got the unowned on. Yeah, unowned.
Yeah, there's a question mark. There's a question mark here. So this says unowned. So
and you're on power again.
There we go, Kang. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, so how many cards am I missing? I'm missing 21 cards at the moment. I've been playing since I think it was Surfer season. I started like mid-December.
Okay, same here. We started at the exact same time. So this is
okay.
I'm missing about 5 cards, and like if I go to my shop, it'll show a couple of them. More cards. Yeah, Nocturne. I could tell you I'm missing about 5 cards. I don't know how to look exactly, but I'm missing maybe 5 or 6 cards. I've been playing same as you. I started late December 2022. I didn't buy Silver Surfer season pass because I didn't know anything. I don't know what the hell I was doing. But I bought the next card, which was Zabu. So yeah, I remember we started playing at the same time then. So that's pretty cool. So I've spent probably, I'd say $300 a year on this game. I spend the season pass is $10 a month, so that's $120 there, and then I'm probably dropping 150-ish of just like bundles and stuff. So that's kind of interesting. You're free to play, and you're only missing 15 more cards than me. So I thought the gap would be larger because I'm like legit spending like money on the game, and I got only 15 more cards than you. So that's kind of interesting, just to kind of frame the math. Do you feel like the game's easy to play, free to play? Is it a huge grind? Do you feel like you're missing out? How does it feel overall emotionally, Jason, just being a free to play player?
Overall, I think it's okay actually for me, but that's probably because I started around the same time as you. If I was starting now, I think it'd be a lot harder. And I guess there's maybe 15 card gap between us now. I think that will grow. If you're buying the season pass every season, and I'm not. I think that gap will grow to put more cards in the game. It doesn't feel too bad for me at the moment, if I'm honest. I have noticed when they made the changes a few months ago, where they started releasing 5 cards a month instead of 4. since then I have noticed the gap growing, but you just need to be a bit more selective about which cards you get and which cards you don't. And when you use your keys and when you don't, you just have to be a bit more selective about that. Yeah, it's good to have 4 keys, isn't it, a week to guarantee the card that you get.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I don't roll without
you
4 personally.
yeah, exactly. And I only tend to roll if there's 2 cards that I don't have, or if there's a card that I really want that that's super busted, like a Red Hulk or something like that. I rolled for Red Hulk because, oh well, this card's obviously busted, so I have to have it, and it's generally useful. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's not a caveat to me being free to play, but I have won a couple of giveaways. There's obviously various content creators who very, very generous with giveaways, and I've won a couple of those. So I've won 2 season passes. I got the Loki season pass and the Baron Zemo season pass through giveaways. And actually, in Baron Zemo season, I think I won a gold pass as well, and that felt absolutely incredible. Never had so much gold, so many, felt absolutely incredible. So you definitely do notice a big difference between having the season pass and not having it, especially with the gold pass stats on top of that. But it's not too bad as long as you do all your dailies, to get all the resources, get all the resources you can out of Conquest. Marvel Snap give us free stuff as well. There's things like the Vibranium rewards, and there's sometimes a free gift. Periodically, they do a free gift on the Nuverse website. So as long as you kind of making sure you're getting all of those things, and you can generally maintain a decent amount of cards. Looking at the list of cards that I don't have, there's cards that I just don't need. Like Darken. I don't need that card. That card's not gonna. Could be doing other things on turn 3 than playing that card. So, but that said, there are some cards I'm missing. So I don't have War Machine. Yeah, this motherfucker here. Don't need him, do I? But War Machine, I don't have War Machine. So when everyone's doing all this busted toxic stuff they're going to be doing over the next few weeks, I'm not going to be a part of that, and we'll just have to see how that goes. But even so, even when you do get these sorts of things, you can still play around it. You don't always have to play, the direct counters. As long as you've got a decent set of cards, you can usually find your way around the metagame in some form. So it doesn't feel too bad for me now. But if I was a new player now, I'd probably say, probably just get on the season pass track, especially with the massive series 3 grind that you've got to go through. I think the time's probably past to start out free to play, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point about the new players. It's kind of interesting because I never really thought about it because when we started playing, we didn't have the collection keys system, right? So it was different for us. You can kind of target cards. It was basically a series 3 card just costed 1,000, and you kind of had them constantly refreshing in your shop, so you could pick up a bunch of series 3 cards that way. And 1,000 tokens was a lot easier to come by back then because you would open a collector's reserve. It would give you like 400 tokens, sometimes 600 tokens. I think it would average like 350 tokens per every fourth one of these that you'd enter. You'd always get 350 tokens on average. So you just open 3 of those, and that's a new card, which was really nice. But what we didn't have, and which is kind of interesting to think about, is if you are a new player, I mean, I can only imagine like this collection keys system would be pretty sick, I think, right? Like imagine you're rolling keys and you own 0 of these cards, right? Which is what new players are like, right? So every time you get 4, my God, I mean, we're like, baby, we did it, baby. Like we're rich now. Like, baby, we did it. I'm trying to like the Conor McGregor, like red panties, break out the red panties, baby. Like, fuck, man. I got like 4 collection keys. Like, baby, we did it. Boom, boom, boom. Even this random one, you're probably getting a card you don't have, right? Where I just look at this like this is 1,000 tokens, right? This is just 1,000 tokens, a random series card. But if you're new to the game, I mean, holy shit! Like you could get 24,000 tokens worth of if you just spend 4 keys. You just got 24,000 tokens. Yeah, I think my math is correct. 12 plus 12. Yeah, Jesus Christ. I mean that's crazy, right? So there is a system there, but to your point, the series 3 grind is way worse than it was when we were playing, right? Like when I was playing, like, oh my God, I got Thor, like let's go. I'm a god now. Like I have Thor, I got Lockjaw. It's over. Like I'm gonna smash the ladder now with my Thor and Lockjaw. Now if you get Thor and Lockjaw, like okay, there's still like 150 more cards you got to get, and like good luck, bro. Like so you're gonna have a missing piece of your destroy deck. You're gonna have there's so much. So, but with the Series 4 and 5, I bet you could acquire them way easier than what we did because we had to wait for these cards to drop. When we first started. Like I didn't get Shuri during the Shuri Red Skull meta. Like I just didn't have Shuri. Like I don't know about you. Did you have Shuri during that? You remember that meta? Because that was pretty soon when we first started playing. Probably 6 months in ish.
Yeah, something like that. I think I did, but I think I was playing something else. I can't remember what I was playing, to be honest. I think I know when I first started playing, it's cool, isn't it? That early game experience when when you just started playing, you're like, oh, I've unlocked this card. Okoye, this is fucking busted. This is great. Let's go. It's
Yeah.
really good. But I remember for me that card was Wong. When I got Wong, I was like, right, okay, here we fucking go. I'm a god now. I'm untouchable. Got Wong, and so that's kind of fun. But I guess now, like you say, you could put blob or something, couldn't you, out of a spotlight key, and you'd be even better. But yeah, it's a good point you make. That spotlight system didn't exist for us, so maybe that does soften at least the Series 4 and 5 grind a little bit. But Series 3
Yeah.
is a bit rough.
Is much worse. Yeah. So the 3 is much worse, which is what you're kind of in. But then yeah, the 4 and 5 is like way better because I mean these cards were just. I remember like I didn't have Darkhawk. Like you just couldn't. I couldn't spend the 6K on Darkhawk. It wasn't. I needed to spend 1K on the 3 cards. Why would I spend 6K on a card when I could just wait 6 months and then it's going to be 1K, right? So that was kind of what we were doing, and until they released Jeff, and then he was a big bad, and everything changed at that point. So now we kind of are where we are from Jeff's release to now. It's been basically the fucking same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, that's pretty sweet. So you got down to 20. Do you feel like you could, if you wanted to say push the top tier of the ladder, like if you wanted to put the time in, I know, like, obviously you're a family man, like you got real life stuff going on in your life. So I don't know how bad you want to sweat on Marvel Snap, but if you could, even with 21 cards missing, do you think you could put together a deck or a couple decks that would let you push to the top of the ladder, with even being totally free to play? Like say like you go to push the top 200 or something like that.
Probably. I mean, sometimes I will have the cards that the top players will have. Minus the season pass usually, but sometimes I mean I've got to the top 1,000 before, and that was again in a real oppressive meta. It was in the Thanos blob meta. I just put together a good cards a nihilist deck, and I got to top 1,000. So you can do it. Yeah, I mean obviously it's a bit of a grind. You got to put the time in as well. But yeah, minus season pass, a lot of the time you can put together a deck that that someone near the top of the ladder is using. But again, I don't know how that would feel for someone starting out in the game now. I mean, I'm not sure if this is it. I'm not sure if this is that deck. This might be able to finish in the top sort of, I don't know, 5,000, 10,000 with this. I was in the top 5,000 last season. I'll see where I get with this. This is doing well. I'm climbing. But I don't know. This probably wouldn't get me. Yeah. Probably wouldn't. Be able
It
to
might
take
though. I mean, I'm asking because I mean I have most of the cards, So for me, I could, for the most part, build almost any deck I want. So like, it's not even something I think about. But yeah, I was just curious. That's an interesting point, and what I'm kind of, you're saying you played the Annihilus deck during the Thanos meta. Well, that kind of makes sense. I mean, Thanos is very restricted on board space. So, I mean, basically their main weakness is Clog, unless they're playing Destroy Thanos, which especially at that time was just a much weaker version of, when you could just be playing freaking broken ass Mockingbird, all those busted ass cards, the old Blob, like it was ridiculous. Why would you play Destroy Thanos when you could just play a 52 power Blob? Like what are you doing? It's bigger than your null. Like fuck out of here. So like it makes sense. So it sounds like you prioritize, yeah, you were saying earlier you prioritize, generically good cards, but also like you look at a deck like this and you're playing like Red Guardian, for example, right? So like tech cards, and you're making like a meta call almost like, hey, like, yeah, I might not have the best deck, but I have the cards that can beat it. I have all the release valves, like you have all the tech cards. And it is actually, interesting. I thought about you actually picked up the card Red Guardian. Did you roll for him, or did you do tokens for Red Guardian?
Ooh, I think I got him out of the Spotlight cache actually.
Yeah, it was a
I
while
think,
ago, Red Guardian. Yeah, but
yeah,
yeah.
it was a while ago. I think I got him out of the Spotlight cache. I think that's one where I, it can be quite easy to get caught up in the hype kind of, there might be loads of hype and loads of buzz around the card, and you kind of have to step away from that a bit and kind of think, okay, what am I going to use this card for? Is it actually going to be really good? And I guess when you think about, it, that there's no world in which Red Guardian isn't a good card. So I'm like, okay, yes, I'll get that card because that is going to be good. There's loads of decks I can put that in. It takes out Dracula that can't do shit about. That was one of the main reasons I got him, because of Dracula. That card, you just can't do
Yeah.
anything about it
Oh,
at
you
all.
own
You know,
Dracula. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm usually on the other end of
take
that exchange.
that.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of like Red Guardian is kind of an obvious role. Um, yeah, yeah. So that's the free to play grind. I mean, I think if anyone is out there that's free to play, it's about, I guess just trying to make sure you're getting all the resources that the game offers you for free. Plenty of giveaways that are worth entering. Um, I tend to enter a lot of them anyway, and win every so often. But yeah, I think that's the way to do it really. But you
But
probably need to be an
you're
active
entering
player
them.
to
That's
do
the
it.
key, right? You're putting in the time and you're actually entering them, right? Because I think people who do spend a lot of money on the game probably aren't even entering the giveaways, right? So I wouldn't call it luck. It's almost like just, hey, like, they're free. It takes what 10, 15 seconds to enter the damn thing. Like, it's not that hard to enter, right? So if you just follow the content creators on Twitter, you could actually, you're actually putting the time in, and you get all kinds of free stuff. And yeah, Newverse puts out free stuff all the time too, like you said. So I don't think whales like can really be bothered to do that stuff. Or at least from the whales I've talked to, they don't do that shit. Like the kid is a whale, for example. He doesn't do any of that shit. So he's like, whatever, man, I'll spend the money. He's like, they can have it. So he's happy to do it. But the stuff's there. It's out there. You just need to put 10, 15, 20 seconds of your time in and enter, and there you go. Save you some money. So like, why not, right? So yeah, that's an interesting perspective. I like it. So it's kind of good to hear you're still having fun with the game, and it's not like hindering your experience, right? One last thing I want to ask you, Jason Kelly. So recently they did. It used to only be 4 cards in a season, and now it's 5, right? Plus the season pass. So not even including the season pass. I think, yeah, it used to be 4 cards in a season. Now it's 5. Because the week the season pass came out, there didn't also used to be Silver Sable, alongside the season pass card. Are you feeling the pain of that? Does that feel like it's going to be a black hole, and then like next year you're going to be missing like 30 cards, instead of 21, are you making progress with the new system, or did you feel the monetization? Do you feel like the monetization is getting worse or like better over time? Basically, is what I'm asking.
Um, so I am the number of cards I'm missing is steadily growing, and the pace of that has increased definitely since they made that change. But again, you just need to be selective about which cards you're getting. So if a card doesn't look good, just skip it that week. And yeah, and just kind of there's all sorts of content out there. This pod, loads of other pods that will review the upcoming cards. You'll get a sense of what you might want to save for, what you probably are going to skip, and just a bit of planning. So sometimes you might sometimes you might get a bit crazy and think, yeah, I'm just going to buy the cards even though I don't think I need them. If you can avoid making
Yeah.
stupid decisions like that, which I do sometimes,
Oh
and
yeah, and
just
I've been
plan
there many
it.
times. Yeah.
Yeah,
Grandmaster.
yeah, Grandmaster. And that's another thing. That there was a lot of hype around Grandmaster, and it turned out to be just not a very good card. So just gotta try and not get caught up in the excitement. Try and make your own. Just think about what cards you want to play, and which cards therefore you kind of want to own to play the way you want to play. And there'll be loads of cards that you can skip in any given season. And there'll be a couple of must-haves. And so sometimes you do go through periods where a lot of must-have cards come together. Like I think Cannonball and White Widow were really close together, and I think I'll skip both at the time because I just run out of resources. I think I've spent them on other cards. And it was not Turnaround. I can't remember. Loads of good cards came together at once, so I had to skip White Widow and Cannonball. But I've got them both now. I ended up saving tokens for White Widow, and I just picked up Cannonball with Hulkling, Emperor Hulkling. I don't know why I did that, but I did.
Yeah, it seemed fun. Hopefully they buff them. Yeah, like Corvus Proxima would be an example of that too, right? If you're not a discard bro, it's like we got Corvus and Proxima back to back. Like you really don't need these cards if you don't want to play discard, so you could save resources for 2 weeks. So yeah, for me, Nocturne, and I think like Hydra Bob, like I skipped Hydra Bob too. So I think that was around the Nocturne time too. So kind of save up resources. So I'm with you. I mean, I skip cards too. I mean, I don't like super whale in the game, but I do occasionally will like buy a bundle or something. Especially if there's a card I want, that's when I buy a bundle personally. It's like, okay, like I really want this card. I want to play it. It seems really fun, and I'll just spend $40 on the freaking game to get a bunch of resources to just go ahead and get this card. So. Maybe that's not the most efficient way to play, but it sounds like what you're doing is like a lot more efficient than what I'm doing.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll stay free to play forever. I've kind of I guess because I've done it for so long, I thought, well, can I get really high on Infinite Ladder? And I got to top 1,000 once, and I've just picked up a couple of infinity borders, the border things. Picked up a couple of those, kind of doing my own kind of thing rather than kind of meta deck. So I've kind of achieved most of what I want to achieve within the game. I've done it free to play, so maybe I don't know if I'll necessarily stay free to play forever. Probably will pick up a season pass or two in the future, but yeah, you don't have to. You can succeed in the game without spending money if you want to.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. And honestly, you have a very rare story. I think you're the only guy I know actually that's like been playing over a year and a half and has spent $0 on the game. It seems like if people are mostly free to play, it's like they at least buy the occasional season pass. Like we had Dopeness on here. I think he's bought 4 or 5 season passes. Shout out Fingon too in the Filthy Casuals. He only buys the season pass if he likes the card. Like if the actual season pass card he's not feeling it, he skips the season pass, right? So because he doesn't want to spend $10 a month every single month. He wants to spend maybe 4 or 5 in a year. So. Yeah, that's like for people who are more free to play, I've heard, but yeah, you're just full on raw dog, like free to play, like like let's go. So that's awesome to hear that you can still kind of play the game how you want to play it, even though you're free to play. So I guess we'll wrap it up here. Jay Kells, man, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Tell the people where they can find you on Twitter. Like you're an awesome Twitter follow. Just for people from my own experience, Jay Kells, one of my favorite Marvel Snap tweeters. Always looking for you when I go on Twitter. So yeah, tell people where they can follow you. Anywhere else, anything else you got going on? Any shoutouts?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter. It's at JBase, which is JBASE Kelly. And that's my surname. So yeah, I'm in Twitter there. As I say, I enter a lot of giveaways. So if you follow me, you'll probably come across a lot of giveaways. And then apart from that, I'm usually chilling for these boys, for the Super Snap Bros, retweeting their
that's true.
With the kits out.
Let's go, baby.
And that's like 90% of my Twitter feed, really, giveaways and chilling for the boys. But yeah, thanks, no big deal for having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure to finally, speak to you for a while after all our interactions on Twitter and the YouTube comments, and obviously, of late in the Alliance chat. It's been a pleasure. So yeah. Any time, brother. Anytime. I'll come on and help you out.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it. And if you do want to come on later with me and the kid, we can make that happen too. We'll do all 3. But I appreciate you filling in for the kid. I think he'll be back next week. So we'll get kind of back to the kid coming back and doing all the editing and everything like that. But shout out to Jay Kells, shout out to Stanky for coming on and crushing it. So I appreciate it, man. You're the man. Shout out to UK as well. And peace.
Peace.